A bag of chips is 2/3 air. You already knew that. What you probably haven't done is weigh it. I did. A family-sized bag of Lay's, $5.49. I put the chips on a kitchen scale. 6 ounces of actual food. The rest is nitrogen gas and marketing. The single potato it would take to fill that same bag with real chips costs about 40 cents. Let's find out. Here's what got me thinking about this. I was standing in the chip aisle last month staring at a bag that used to be 16 ounces. It's 10 now. Same price, same bag design, just less in it. They've been shrinking these things for years and hoping nobody notices. Somebody noticed. If your house goes through 2 bags a week, that's about $570 a year on chips, sliced potatoes with salt on them. That's not a grocery bill. That's a car insurance payment. My dad used to slice potatoes thin and fry them in a cast iron skillet on Saturday afternoons. No recipe, no mandolin, just a knife and a pan of oil that smoked up the whole kitchen. They were good, but the cleanup took longer than the cooking, and the house smelled like a county fair for 2 days. I figured if there was a way to get that same crunch without a pot of hot oil, it was worth 20 minutes of my time to find out. Turns out there is. And the reason it works has nothing to do with oil at all. Here's what everybody gets wrong, and I mean everybody, including me on my first 3 batches. They skipped the drying step. A raw potato is about 80% water. A finished chip is under 2%. That difference is the entire crunch. When you bite a chip and it shatters, that's not the oil doing that. That's what a starch structure does once all the water is gone. Dry and brittle. That's the whole secret. So if you slice a potato, toss it on a pan, and throw it in the oven while it's still wet from rinsing, you're not baking chips, you're steaming them. They come out soft, bendy, and sad. I know because I ate a tray of sad potato discs on batch 1 and genuinely considered giving up. 25 years fixing things, and a potato almost beat me. The fix is dead simple. After you rinse the slices, lay them flat on a clean towel. Press a second towel on top. Get them dry. Actually dry, not I patted them once dry. Bone dry. That single step is the difference between a chip that crunches and a chip that bends. The second mistake is thickness. If you're cutting by hand, one slice is thick, the next one's thin, and they finish at completely different times. Half your batch is charcoal, while the other half is still chewing like a piece of raw potato. Even thickness, even cook. A cheap mandolin costs about $8, and it's the most useful thing in my kitchen after the can opener. All right, let's do this 3 ways. Microwave, oven, and air fryer. Same potato, same prep, 3 methods. I want to know which one actually works best. I grabbed a russet, 42 cents. Russets are high starch, low sugar. The low sugar matters because sugar is what scorches and turns bitter before the chip is even crisp. Waxy potatoes brown unevenly. Sweet potatoes burn if you blink. Russets crisp, clean, and pale gold. That's why LA's uses them. Now you know. I sliced the whole potato on the mandolin at about 1.5 millimeters, thin enough to see light through. The slices went into a bowl of cold water for 2 minutes. You're rinsing the surface starch off. Skip this, and the slices weld themselves into a single potato brick. I learned that the hard way, too. After rinsing, I dried them flat between 2 towels, pressed hard, then a light toss in oil. Half a teaspoon for the entire batch, not for frying, just enough to coat each slice so heat transfers evenly and the seasoning has something to grab onto later. Method 1. Microwave. I laid slices in a single layer on parchment paper. No overlap, 2.5 minutes on high. Flipped them. 2 more minutes. The edges started curling and lifting, the bubbling slowed down. Pulled them at 5 minutes total. The result, actually crispy. Genuinely surprised me. A little uneven. The ones near the edge of the plate were slightly darker than the center, but the crunch was real. Clean snap, my jaw made the sound. Not bad for 5 minutes and 0 preheating. Method 2. Oven. 400 degrees. Single layer on a parchment-lined baking sheet. 12 minutes in, I checked. Pale. Floppy. Not ready. 14 minutes. Edges are golden. Looking good. I pulled one and bit it. Perfect. Pulled the tray at 14 minutes and 30 seconds. Here's the thing about the oven method. You have roughly a 40-second window between perfect and charcoal. I set the tray back in to test this. At 15 minutes and 10 seconds, 3 chips on the corner were burnt. 40 seconds. That's the margin. But the ones that hit the window, better than the microwave. More even color, more consistent crunch, closer to a real chip. Method 3. Air fryer, 360 degrees, single layer in the basket. Shook it every 3 minutes. At 9 minutes, I pulled them. Golden, curled at the edges, snapped clean. The air fryer made the best chip. Most even browning, most consistent crunch, least babysitting. The basket keeps air moving around every slice. That's what these things are built for. Now the seasoning. And this is where I wasted 2 batches before I figured it out. You season the chip the second it comes out, while it's still hot, while that thin film of oil is still warm and slightly tacky. That's what the salt clings to. Wait until the chip cools down and the seasoning slides right off onto the counter. I had a pile of paprika on my cutting board and a plate of balled chips the first time. Hot and oily equals sticky. Cool and dry equals bald. Use fine salt, not coarse. Fine grains have more surface contact. For flavored chips, go powder. Garlic powder, smoked paprika, powdered vinegar for salt and vinegar. Anything coarse just bounces off. One large russet made a bowl of chips roughly the same volume as the family bag. I put them side by side. The homemade chips were thinner, slightly more golden, and they actually tasted like potato. The Lay's tasted like salt and whatever natural flavor means on the back of the bag. Cost: one russet, 42 cents. Half a teaspoon of oil, basically nothing. Seasoning, maybe 3 cents worth of salt and paprika. Total, 45 cents versus $5.49 for the bag. A household going through 2 bags a week saves roughly $500 a year. The homemade version takes about 20 minutes, including prep and cook time. The oven and air fryer methods require almost no hands-on work. Slice, rinse, dry, season. That's it. One honest limitation, these don't keep like store-bought. No preservatives, no nitrogen-sealed bag. In a sealed container, they're good for 2, maybe 3 days before they start losing crunch. The factory version lasts months, so you're making smaller batches more often. That's the trade-off. 5 minutes of work every few days versus $5 every few days. Walter's verdict, 4 wrenches out of 5. It works, genuinely. All 3 methods produce chips that crunch, and the air fryer version was legitimately better than what comes in the bag. Lost a wrench because the technique matters. Drying is non-negotiable. The oven window is tight. And your first batch will probably be ugly. Mine was. Second batch was good. Third batch, I stopped buying the bag. One thing you can do today, grab a russet and a cheap mandolin. Slice thin, rinse, dry, single layer, 400 degrees for 14 minutes. Season while hot. That's it. 40 cents. 20 minutes. And if they're not better than what's in your pantry right now, I'll eat the bag. If this saved you a few bucks, you know what to do. What should I test next? Drop it below.